What is up, people? Today I'll be doing a movie review on Deadpool and Wolverine. And of course, this is my spoiler warning, so whatever reason you have not seen this film yet, for whatever reason, then click off. But yeah, this is my spoiler warning. So as usual, I'll be giving you the breakdown. Initial thoughts, positives and negatives. For the positives, going to be Deadpool and Wolverine fun, snarky/witty jokes, and fun scenarios. For the negatives, going to be snarky/witty jokes, underwhelming villain, and emphasis on in particular what matters. Then I'll end it with random thoughts. When it comes to Marvel and DC movies, they aren't my cup of tea for films, and I will only be willing to watch them with a friend for the most part. That is until Deadpool comes into the mix, as it's a Marvel character I like the most as the over-the-top gory action and snarky comedic comments, and in general, I don't feel like I really have to know a lot about his lore, or really at all. Generally, I was pretty excited in this bro dynamic with Wolverine, and it sure delivered. While other components could have been done better. But first I'll get into Deadpool/Wolverine fun. These moments were super fun to say the least. Having this bro type dynamic in their back and forth dialogue and seeing their differences in the way they act collide. With Deadpool being more exaggerated and Wolverine being more serious. The gory fighting moments and not holding back at all as they slash/shoot each other. An example would be them both slashing at each other in the car deep in the forest and having those epic slow-mos before certain scenes. It was just constant moment after moment in being a batshit crazy duo across this film. So next will be snarky/witty jokes. Pretty simple with this one. A lot of the jokes did land, having a fair amount of laughter and chuckles. The kind of energy with these jokes matched along the previous entries, with examples being the funny Deadpool replies to something going on, and even taking shots at some companies. But a negative I will say is that it definitely wasn't all that consistent. Next will be fun scenarios. I definitely appreciated the different sequences that acted as kind of like a build-up to some degree or elevated some of the fighting scenarios, such as when Deadpool was trying to select from the different Wolverines to them both having to fight other versions of Deadpool. So there was also those kind of fun scenarios on top of the bro dynamic between the two that it just mixed well. And we move on to the negatives, starting with snarky/witty jokes. Although a lot of the jokes landed, there were ones that weren't the best type of jokes. That just felt typical and kind of cheap. Not just that, it also felt at times in where I had moments of non-laughter or chuckles, as it kind of felt a bit too constant, but that's just me. Next will be underwhelming villain. The kind of villain they showcased was real basic and underused. I think they should have found a way to incorporate her abilities in a more interesting manner, since she was able to get into someone's mind in an unnerving manner as her hand goes all over on the inside of someone's face and just messing with the vision that the person's experiencing. They really needed to do that more, especially in connecting this particular component with my last point, which is emphasis on what matters. These types of moments were nice to watch, and instead of doing a timeline type story, they should have focused with this element more. And just to name an example from it would definitely be with Deadpool, that way he was worried on losing his friends. It would have been more interesting in way more detailing on what matters on both Deadpool and Wolverine, but as well adding in with the abilities from the villain. You could have really messed with what mattered to both of them and always alternating the visions or just something along this kind of narrative or just element that I think to me could have at least enhanced the story and made it more interesting. Overall, despite the story not necessarily being all that great and honestly the villain being pretty underwhelming, this film still held up watching it. Whether it's the comedy moments in landing a lot of the times or to the crazy fighting scenes between Deadpool and Wolverine, this is the kind of film in turning off your brain for the most part and having an enjoyable time. As for the rating of this film, I'll be giving Deadpool and Wolverine a 8.5 out of 10. Anyways, later.